As the clock strikes 7, the vibes alive. Inner circles here, where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come one, come all, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Inner Circle podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. Inner Circle podcast where love is well known.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Inner Circle podcast. Today is Thursday, September 4th, and tonight we continue our District 34B special election series with a special guest, Ruth Bittner, Republican candidate for the Minnesota House of Representatives. So with the election just a couple of days away on Tuesday, September 16th, there is a chance, for those in District 34B, there's a chance to hear directly from you, Ruth, about her values, her priorities, and her vision for the future of District 34B. So thank you so much for joining us. And Ruth, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Abe. I appreciate the opportunity so much. So I appreciate you reaching out to me and having me on the show. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay. And folks, you can join the conversation by putting a comment in the chat or calling our number 952-594-5154. And also you can subscribe. There's a growing community. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, on X, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. So again, thank you so much for joining us. But so let's get started. Ruth, can you tell us, our audience, a little bit about you and, just a little bit about you?
Yeah, of course. Happy to do that. I have been a lifelong Minnesota resident. I've lived here my entire life. I went to the University of Minnesota and I graduated with a food science degree. And I worked at Land O'Lakes. I was a food scientist there. So processed cheese was my life for a while. Okay. Very exciting life. And then after that, when my first child was born, I decided to start a business, and I wanted to be able to be at home. And so I was able to work from home at that time. And so I actually had an importing business. It was interesting. I was very much into afternoon tea, actually. And so we imported China and developed children's tea sets that matched adult tea sets. And so it is a very niche business, but eventually it expanded into Amazon so that Amazon was shipping for us and I wasn't doing as much here. But anyway, so it was a great business. And then eventually I became a real estate agent. And so that's what I'm doing now. So, yeah.
And how long have you lived in District 34B?
Well, ever since it was redistricted, I have lived actually here my entire life.
Oh, okay.
It moved to me, I guess you would say.
Okay. And what specifically? Is it Broken Park, Champlain? Do you live in Broken Park? Because the district is like most of Broken Park.
Yep. Our district is about half of Broken Park and just a little bit of Champlain and a little bit of Coon Rapids. I do live in the Coon Rapids side. I live right across the river from Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what inspired you to run for this seat? As you know, I mean, this seat became open because of the tragic incident that happened to Melissa Hudman, the Speaker Emeritus. So, what inspired you to run for this office, and why now?
Well, that is the question. I mean, we should not be having this special election. You know,
Yeah.
it's a great tragedy. Of course, we were all just shocked, you know, and still
Mm-hmm.
it makes me sick to my stomach to think of what happened. You know, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's so horrible that someone could be so filled with hate or whatever, you know, hate, mental illness, you know,
Yeah.
deranged, whatever the situation was. It's just horrible. So, you know, this is the situation that we find ourselves in, though, that the seat, my representative, she,
Mm-hmm.
you know, is gone. And so I ran because, well, I kind of felt that I just really should in that the people that I saw starting to run to replace her, I just felt that I needed to offer a choice.
Okay.
I feel like I wanted to offer a moderate voice
Okay.
because I do believe in moderate policies, and I want to make this district and the state a better place for everyone. And so I guess that's basically my answer, is that I want it to be a voice and I want it to be a choice for the people in our district.
Well, that's a great perspective, right? Because we live in an environment that is so divisive, on the federal level, at the state level, politics is so divided, and you're talking about moderate. How will you do things differently if you are fortunate to, win this special election? What will you do differently at the state capitol?
Well, one of my biggest priorities is to deal with the fraud that we have seen in our state, and it just the fraud just drives me crazy, actually, because I
Yeah,
hate to waste things. You know, I'm
yes,
sure
yes, yes,
you grew up and I grew up too. You know, you don't waste things. You don't waste
yes,
food. You don't waste anything. You know,
yes, yes,
you try and squeeze all this shampoo out of the bottle or something. You know, so
yeah.
wasting is horrible. So
Mhm.
anyway, when you're talking about on such a grand scale, you know, we're talking $1 billion, maybe $4 billion. I've heard. You know, we have to put a stop to that because Minnesota is a very generous state, you know, and
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
want to take care of the people here. You know, we want to
Mhm.
provide resources for people that need it. But
Sure.
then when there are people who either, well, and the worst are the ones who come to do it intentionally to just steal. And
Mhm.
that is not protecting the taxpayer dollars, you know, because it's not the government's money, it's our money. And so we need to make sure that the state is protecting the dollars there. And so I feel that that's really important. I don't know, you know, if you're as familiar, maybe you probably are, but the Office of the Inspector General
Yeah.
was an office that was proposed, and the Minnesota Senate actually approved it, but it never got passed in the Minnesota House. So that would be one of my main priorities, to make sure that we install that office so that we can prevent fraud and make sure we have oversight into the spending that we do there. So that would be one of my biggest priorities.
Is this your first time running for public office?
It is, yes.
Okay. So what values then, for those who don't know you, what are the values? What value will you bring to public service?
Yeah. Well, personally, family is kind of everything to me. You know, I have prioritized family in my husband's and my family, but also my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I took care of my mom here in our home for 3 years when she couldn't take care of herself. So extended family is very important to me, and I know that that's important to people in our district as well. So, you know, family is really where it all starts, and we have to rely on family and rely on each other in times of need, you know, and we have to serve each other in that way. So that I would say it would be a personal value, but I think that's very important. I also believe that treating people as individuals is very
Yeah.
important because as you just mentioned, you know, we're in a bad place as far as our rhetoric, and we need to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
dial down our rhetoric. And I really want to start the process of not seeing each other as a member of a group,
Yeah.
but as people, because I find that as I talk to people, we
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes have the same goals, you know, and it's not that complex. We
Uh-huh.
want to have jobs to support our families. We want to have a safe place to live, and we want to have a home to live in. That's really mostly what people want, and then how do we get there? Maybe that's where there might be some differences. But if we can understand that we do have things in common with people, and we can't just dismiss them, maybe because they have a certain letter behind their name,
Yeah.
we need to talk to each other. We need to be able to develop relationships with people. And so that would also be another value of mine, is being able to work with people and value people, I would say.
How will you describe like the momentum, for your campaign, right? How receptive is the community? How receptive is the district to your campaign and to your message?
Well, I have found a lot of support. And so I have a lot of people that are very excited about my campaign. And as I go door knocking, everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people say, they thank me so much. They're so appreciative that I'm running, and so they are really wanting that moderate voice, so I am very encouraged by that. So it's been great. I really am very pleased. And I have worked in the Republican Party. I'm on the Third Congressional District Executive Committee.
Okay.
And I have gotten to know a lot of people, and a lot of wonderful people. And I'm so thankful for that opportunity. And so it's great for people to just be able to come around and support me as well. So I appreciate that a lot.
Okay. The district, right? District 34B, as well, is a very, very diverse district. What are you and your campaign doing to reach those, minority community in your district?
Well, I do understand that. And I mean, that's just the way this district is. And so it's very important to be able to understand the needs of everyone in our district. I have been particularly, I have last week I went to some markets and I was just interviewing people, and I'm hoping to do that more, just because it's been great to just hear from people and, hear what's important to them. And, I hear the same things from them that I do from everyone, so it's again, it's kind of the same theme, which is people want affordable lives here. They want to have a safe neighborhood. I've heard specific things like they want more buses, so, it's been great to just hear what's on the minds of everyone. I've also been invited, and I've spent a little bit of time with the Vietnamese community and understanding what's important to them as well, getting to know the needs. And I've just gotten to understand, how it goes when people are sponsored, how it, and then what it takes to become a naturalized citizen, and then, how to plug in. And that's one of my concerns, is how do people plug in? And that's one of the things that I would like to spend more time on. I know there are a lot of programs, a lot of community programs and everything, which is wonderful. But I think, small business is very important to the immigrant community. And I want to make sure that is supported, and that people know what resources they have access to. Because as an entrepreneur myself, I love small business, and I love to see people succeed. And I was just talking with someone the other day, and I said, because he was kind of describing some of the issues to me. And I said, it sounds like we need to merge everybody onto the American highway. It's like we just need to get people going, on the same path. And so anyway, I know a lot of work has been done in the past, and that's a huge issue, but I really do want to see people succeed. And I love that, especially because immigrants come here because they want to succeed. They want to work hard. And I think we need to make sure that they have the opportunity to do that. So I love it.
Yeah. Well, folks, tonight we are talking to the Republican candidate for District 34B, Ruth Bittner. She's here in studio with us. So if you have a question, you can call our number 952-594-5154, or put a comment in the chat. But Ruth, how has your background as a businesswoman shaped your political priorities, or inform your political priorities?
As a businesswoman, as a business person or as a woman in
As a
particular?
business person, sorry, my bad. As a
Okay.
business person,
I
yeah.
just wonder because some people say, "Do you mean as a woman?"
No, no, no.
Yeah,
As a business person, as an
yeah,
entrepreneur,
yeah.
definitely.
I mean, it's interesting because actually running a campaign is basically
Mhm.
setting up a small business,
Okay.
and then you just
Mhm,
take it apart when you're all done.
mhm, mhm,
So you have to
mhm.
quickly build a business and quickly take it apart at the end.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it just gives you the skills, you have to see the need, you have to be able to respond quickly. Um, and as far as I would say, really, my real estate work has helped me and served me well
Mhm,
in that you have to deal with people, you have to move quickly, you have to understand what people want, what they're trying to get, and then basically just negotiating,
mhm.
problem solving. Problem solving is huge, right, for a small
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
because if you can't solve problems, you're done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to be that. So I would say that a problem solver is what I want to be because
Mm,
everybody has problems and everybody needs solutions, and sometimes the solutions have to be unique and sometimes they're more common, so I just think that we have to be creative in finding solutions, and I also believe that we have to put everything on the table, like um, if we're really struggling with something, we have to be able to say, okay, let's just evaluate all the options so that we can make a good decision here. So,
What do you think are the biggest challenges facing District 34B?
um, well, I think that probably affordability maybe is one of the challenges.
Mhm,
Affordable housing. That's what I would probably say.
mhm,
Um, I also think that it's not just unique to 34B, but I do want to be more coming together. I want people to
mhm.
work together. So I want us to recognize that we are part of this community together and that we want to work together. So I would really like to start the conversation to have those conversations, just to,
Yeah.
I would like to bring us together.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, you talk about affordability, right? Especially at this, I mean, right now we live in a inflationary environment. What will you do to address affordability, right? Because you see, again, if you look at your district, a lot of minorities, a lot of low income folks in your district. When it comes to housing, there are housing challenges. What will you do differently to address affordability challenges?
Yeah, well, um, inflation, of course, is a little kind of out of the state purview, of
Yeah,
course. So
yeah. Oh,
that's
yeah.
something that we all wish we could do. But as far as just affordability,
Hmm.
um, you know, I I think we need to reduce taxes in many
Okay.
ways.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'd like to see us reduce regulations when we can. Sometimes those are barriers both to home building and to either starting businesses or being employed in certain industries, So those are things that we can do more from a state level. Also, just supporting the programs that are currently there. I am a big believer in small business, as we talked about. So I would like to support those programs to make it more possible for people to get going in their small businesses and start to, be more successful.
Yeah. I mean, let's come to public safety, right? I mean, the district, again, sometimes, when you listen to local news, a lot of, Broken Park, especially be in the news about local crime.
Mhm.
What will you do to address crime in District 34B?
Um, well, I believe that especially in Brooklyn Park,
Mm-hmm.
there's been progress made in reducing crime, which is wonderful, and part of that is through social work, and I think that's been very successful. And it's also in Champlin and Coon Rapids as well. So the one challenge that we have is being fully staffed in Brooklyn Park. Now, Coon Rapids and Champlin currently are fully staffed, so that's wonderful.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We need to do that in Brooklyn Park as well. And one of my concerns is recruitment, and so that would be something I would like to pursue at a state level, is because we need police force, throughout the state, and where we're struggling, what can we do to find good recruits? So if that's at a college level or what. I'm not sure what the solution would be, but that would be something that I do believe we need to help our local police forces with, is to try and attract good recruits. Also, there's technology, and especially in Brooklyn Park, where they are struggling to get fully staffed.
Mm-hmm.
We can use technology. And I know there is a proposal there that needs funding, and I would be a big supporter of that, to use drones and to use technology. I think that is an excellent idea, because it's protecting the lives of the officers as well. Mm-hmm. And it can get eyes on the situation so quickly. And then the police force can make a decision if they need to send someone or not. In some cases, it's nuisance calls, and maybe some kids are, just causing some trouble, and it saves them having to send a car out, or maybe they know they can just send one, as opposed to maybe they need several. Because it's a bad situation. So I think we need to especially use technology for those cases. I also think, as Chief Bruley has said, that crime is a community problem, not just a police problem. Okay. So I think that that's very important to get kids on the right track. It's an age-old problem, of course. We all want that for our families and for our children. But, whatever we can do, so to support programs that get kids together, again, family is important, friends, school, sports, youth groups, church, these are all important places for kids to be and make good relationships. Okay. So, good relationships with real people, I think, is very important.
Definitely. I mean, as you know very well, our state has been going through some challenges when it comes to gun violence, when it comes to violence and things like that. I mean, obviously, even this seat being open because of the tragic murder of Speaker Emeritus Melissa Hutman, and then just a week ago today, innocent kids, were shot at and 2 got killed. Right. What will you do to address the issue of gun violence in Minnesota and I mean in this country?
Yeah. Well, again, it's another situation that just makes us all feel sick, at the loss and the innocent lives that were taken. And I believe that we have an epidemic of hate in this country as well. And I think we have to look at all of the options, and then, so hate is a problem, mental illness is a problem, and we have red flag laws now that we need to, somehow we need to make sure that they are well known. I did do a little bit of research myself just to see, like, how would I report someone if I knew that there was a problem, and so I did follow the steps to go on the website, but that was rather cumbersome. Yeah. And I actually haven't found out, I haven't taken the time yet, I forgot, but to just call the police department and find out, should I just call the police department? So this is an area of research I need to know. But as a citizen, I don't know, and I think we need to make that clear. Like, if you do have a need in your family, or if you know of someone, and if you are concerned for that person or for yourself or society, how do you report that, and how do you do it safely? So I think we maybe need a little more education on how to use the red flag law that is in place. I think that's very important, because we've seen that we need to keep those weapons out of the hands of people that could do harm to themselves or to others. And then I know that there's a big call for assault weapons being banned, or legislation around those as well. And I am open to the conversation, because I do want to put everything on the table, and I do want to make decisions. This is one of my guiding principles, is that I want to make decisions based on facts and evidence and research, not on opinions and emotion, so that's why I want to put everything on the table, learn as much as we can, research as much as we can, and then make a decision. So I believe that we need to look at everything and put everything on the table.
The current speaker is a Republican. I mean, have you gotten any endorsement from your Republican colleague? Are they coming to the district to support you, to campaign for you, to don't knock for you?
Yes, I am endorsed by the Republican Party, and yes,
Mm,
I've had support from everyone,
mm,
all down the state. I've
okay.
had a lot of support. So yes, they're coming to the district. They're helping me out, which has just been wonderful to have that support.
Obviously, it's a big shoe here to fill, right? But what is the significance of this seat, to you?
The significance of
Yeah,
the
of this seat. I mean, it's a big shoe to fill, right? Melissa Hardman held
yeah,
this seat for as long as,
right.
I mean, since 2000 or 2001, right? What is the
20,
significance
20
of,
years. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
then she was Speaker of the House for 6 years. So of
yeah,
course, yes, very
yeah,
big shoes to fill.
yeah.
And I can't fill them. She was very well known in the
Mm,
community
mm,
and very well liked. She had made such an impression over all those years and was so, um, you know, caring to people, and people really trusted her. And um, so yeah, the significance of it, it's a very significant seat.
mhm,
And I would not even try to plan to fill her shoes.
mhm, 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 mhm. I mean, let's talk about, the issue of business again. With a lot of small businesses in your district, especially like immigrant-run businesses.
Mhm.
At the state level, what policies will you push, right, to help those immigrant? To help those small businesses, and what are the policies will you push at the state level to help small businesses in your district?
Well, I've talked to a lot of people, and I guess that's what I need to do is continue the conversations with people and find out what they need. So I like to keep the decisions at the lowest level possible, if
Mhm,
because I believe that the best decisions can be made there.
mhm,
So I also feel it's very important to understand what people need. So I would like
yeah,
to, rather than just say what I think they need, find out what they need. So I think it's very important because small businesses is so important. And so
mhm,
I would like to just continue to fund the programs as far as helping, like kind of with that merging, like I was talking about, getting immigrants into the lane of America so
mhm, mhm,
and start their businesses and succeed. And if they need the resources, I know there's lots of different programs, local programs that are state funded and whatnot. Those we need to continue to um, support and fund. And I would also say, celebrate. Like maybe we need to um, see the successes, and
yeah,
show those successes so that we can attract more people to get on board and to try it themselves. So I really, again, my goal is for people to succeed and to work as hard as they want to achieve the goals and the dreams that they want to. So I don't know that I have anything new to suggest other than to
yeah.
support what's there, and then also to make it more attractive to people.
Okay. As you have campaigned through the district, talking to voters,
Mhm.
what have you learned about the district? What have you learned about District 34B?
I have just gotten to see the diversity, and I've gotten to talk to a lot of different people. Um, a lot of different people have different opinions, and so that has been very enlightening. But I do enjoy the conversation because I do enjoy hearing from people, and then I, can try and understand why they think that way, and
Mhm, mhm,
um,
mhm.
I would I would just say that it's been really a pleasure to be able to talk to so many people and learn so much about the people here. So that would be basically what I feel that I have discovered in
And what
my
have you learned? And what have you learned about yourself? I mean, throughout this campaign.
well, it's been interesting, that's for sure. Just the other day, I was thinking about a phrase that my grandma used to say. She used to, when she was feeling challenged, she'd say, "Well, I'm a tough old bird." And so just the other day, I was thinking, I think I'm turning into a tough old bird
Mhm,
because it is tough. It's very
mhm,
demanding. Your schedule isn't your own anymore. You really just have to work, meet
mhm,
people, plan, um, research. It's a lot of work. So I have just learned about myself. It takes, a little fortitude to keep going. So yeah, that's
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Your opponent, right, XP Lee, has kind of emphasized progressive solutions to some of these challenges the state is facing. What will you do differently? If you have to like compare to your opponent, right? Like, what is the one thing that I guess separates you guys? What will you do differently compared to XP Lee?
Hmm. Well, I know he was not. He didn't commit to the Office of the Inspector General for the to prevent fraud, and that is
Okay.
definitely something that I would want to do. I, in general, am more in favor of cutting taxes
Okay.
because I, in general, prefer to have less government control, and so I
Mhm.
would say that that would probably be a difference between us. Um, I think that, yeah, education is very important. It's important to him as well.
Mhm.
But I would like to partner with the school districts because I do believe we need to find out what is at the heart of the matter here. We know that we have test scores that aren't what they need to be. And we're not looking to blame anyone. We're not looking to, we love our teachers. We are not trying to be complaining and things, but we just need to find solutions. So that's what we need to do. I believe we have increased funding, for education, but we still are not seeing the results that we need. So I would like to let decision making be done at a lower level again. So I'd like to work with the school districts to find out what do they believe we need to do to make improvements. I, again, think the decisions should be made at the lowest level. And I also don't believe in a one-size-fits-all solution to our
Mhm.
issues. And so that's why I just think we need to do more research and help support. And also, if one school district needs to do one thing, then another needs to do another, then we should support those things just so that we can get the results. So those might be some different ways that we are different approaches that we would take.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, makes sense, makes sense. That's fair. The other thing there's though, right? It's a special election. Turnout can be very low. But
Yeah.
what are you doing to make sure that voters turn out on September 16th?
Well, just what everybody does. You bother the voters. Yeah, just, door knocking, getting out to talk to everybody, and calling people, reaching the voters. We're just reaching the voters in any way that we can to make sure that
Mhm.
they hear my message and feel that I'm a person that they should vote for.
What is the one issue you feel that is being ignored, at the state level or even at the district? I mean in District 34B.
Um, Ignored. I guess I've already mentioned it, but I would say fraud.
Mhm.
That's the one that didn't get across the line in the last session, and that's the one that I feel needs the biggest push to get that done. And mostly because it's taking the resources from people who could use it. I mean, we could put that money to good use, and so that is why I just feel very strongly that we need to address that.
So do you think, I know you've been mentioning about fraud, right? Obviously, yeah, it's a big issue, right? You
Mhm.
have that feeding my feature or whatever,
Yep.
that huge COVID fraud. You have other fraud that are being at the state level. What will you do then to address the issue of fraud? Do we need more, maybe like, I mean, what is the one thing you would do to address the issue of
Yeah.
fraud, I guess?
Yeah, well, the Inspector General Office would oversee the program, and so to prevent it from happening in the first place. But also, there are lots of ways that fraud is happening. Some of it is intentional, and some is not. So we
Mm-hmm.
need to have programs. So sometimes maybe people are getting um, insurance payments twice. So maybe they signed up for it, and then maybe they didn't get off at one point, but they didn't need it. The payments are still being made, but they're not even using the benefit, or maybe they signed up And then somehow they got on it again. So there are two payments going out, but they don't need two payments. It's not going to the individual, it's going to the insurance, So that could be. Then there are people who actually are intentionally defrauding, in that they might be getting a benefit in Minnesota and maybe in another state as well. And so there are federal databases that we can use to match those things up to make sure that they're not getting double benefits. We also need to check, there are, I understand that recipients of benefits get checked once per year. And so, and the proposal has been that maybe we just check twice per year, to make sure that they haven't moved, that they really do need the benefit, things like that. So we just need to be verifying sometimes, making sure that it's not being wasted again.
So do you think the creation of an office of an inspector general would kind of help, with the whole issue of the fraud? What would the office of the inspector general do that is not currently being done?
It's just oversight. So it would, from what I understand, it would be to just make sure that the grants are going to legitimate places. Like we've seen so many shell companies that are just fake set up. So there have been autism centers, adult daycares, Feeding Our Future, this housing stabilization services, where people are just setting up fake companies and then just getting lots and lots of payments, but there was they were doing nothing, So those kinds of things, we just need to make sure that the businesses are legitimate, and that they are going to do or are doing the work that they say they're going to do.
So do you think currently the state is not doing enough? The governor, state, the current leadership is not doing enough to address the issue of fraud?
Right. That's exactly what I think.
Okay. Well, for those voters in District 34B that are still on the fence, right? Why should they vote for you, and why should they come out on September 16th? It's a special election, for turnout is low. Why should they vote for Ruth? And why should they, they are still on the fence, right? They have heard from you. They are heard from XP, but they are still on the fence. Why should they vote for you?
Well, I would say because I do want to protect the taxpayer resources. I want to make sure that whatever we spend is spent efficiently and wisely. So if we can find ways to do things more efficiently and spend our money in better ways, that is what I want to do. Everybody has to pay taxes, and nobody likes taxes, but they are for the services that are for our community, and for our state. And so we just want to make sure that it's well spent. I also believe that as a person, I do value individuals. And so I do want to start the effort to try and bring us together. And I don't want that to sound cliche, but I do feel that it's so necessary that we not just see each other in groups, because that's just how we don't get things done. If we're going to make progress, if we're going to get things done, we do have to work together. And that is one thing that Speaker Hortman was able to do. She had a good sense of humor, and she did get along with people. And I think that's very important, especially when you might have policy differences. That doesn't mean you can't agree in so many ways. There was a quote that if you disagree with someone 20%, you're still 80% friends. And so I love that idea, so that I do believe that I have a lot of research skills from my being a food scientist, and I have business skills and managerial skills from being a small business owner and an entrepreneur. And I also believe now that I have strong people skills and negotiating skills from my work as a real estate agent. So I think all of these things have, prepared me for this role. And I think that the things that I want to that make priorities, like education and public safety, are things that will resonate with the voters in our district.
Okay. As you know, right, the current state government is very divided. We have a divided legislature. It's hard to get anything done. What will you do to reach across the aisle to your fellow legislatures?
So
How will you work across the aisle?
I'm in favor of arm wrestling. No, not really. No, but I do believe that it's important again, understanding and trust is so important, and to develop relationships with people. If you just see somebody as a member of a group, you're not going to work with them, but if you can get to know someone on a personal level, know something about them, and you all of a sudden you have something in common, and that, I believe, is the way to get things done. I know it's tough when it's divided like that, for sure. But then, some people don't like the word compromise, but that's just the way it is. You have to. There's no other option.
Yeah. Many voters these days, right? I mean, I can see do not trust public officials, don't trust politicians, What
Yeah.
will you do to bring about trust, for people in your district or at the state level, right? To, start believing in government again, start believing in politicians, like, oh yeah, but because right now it's like there's a huge distrust.
Yes, that's exactly right. I mean, the only thing that I know of is you have to be genuine, and you have to be real, and you have to care about people, and you have to demonstrate that you care about people. I've been in the district. I've been to so many events. I've been trying to meet as many people as I can. And I want people to see me and see that I am a person that you can talk to, that I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think. And I do want people to succeed. So other than, having conversations with people, if I am elected, I intend to reach out to the voters because I would like to know what they think about things. If I'm going to vote a certain way, I would like to have that conversation if it's a big deal, and I think that's very important.
I mean, obviously, well, that's not that's good to hear, right? Like right now, a lot of you hear a lot of politicians bickering, fighting, and fixing problem. Is that when you get if you win this special election and you get this state level, what will you do differently, compared to what is being done right now? Right? Is that right now it's just a lot of bickering, just a lot of fighting, just a lot of arguing. Obviously you have to talk about trying to hear from others, trying to understand them.
Mm-hmm.
What what other issues will you
What other issues? What did you say?
what other things will you do like differently, right? Because right now when you watch local news or even national news, right, there's so much argument, there's so much bickering. It's
Yeah.
like folks like us feel like politicians spend more time fighting than
Mm-hmm.
facing issues, right? There are a lot of issues, a lot of challenges facing Minnesota, there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of challenges facing your district, there are a lot of challenges facing,
Mm-hmm.
this country, but all you hear is about politicians bickering about cultural issues, about different things, about immigration.
Mm-hmm.
What will you do to bring about civility to government?
That is a very good question, and I think that is a very important question. And because that is one of my priorities that I talk about with people,
Mhm,
is becoming civil with each other, because I don't see that we have a path forward for our society without it. We cannot continue to be so divided and still want to have a civilization.
mhm,
We have to bring civility. I agree.
mhm, mhm,
And that's incumbent upon all of us, isn't it? We all have to make the choice to work against the extreme partisan divide, is what I say, because it's a choice that we have to make. Again, I just feel like it's how we have to view people. Um, I have said that I want to have conversations and not cancellations. So I
Okay,
think
oh wow, that's a good one. That's a good, that's a good one. Conversation and not cancellation. Wow, that's
yeah,
good. That's good.
and it takes a decision to do that. You have to choose
Mhm,
to want
mhm,
to talk to people who might disagree with you. But
mhm,
that's what you have to do. And so
mhm,
I just think it's very important. I do know that Speaker Damath and Speaker Emerita Hortman
mhm,
were friendly, and they did have trust for each other, and they worked
mhm,
together on things. Now, they didn't
mhm,
agree on policy, but I
mhm,
do know that it was very difficult for Speaker Damath when this tragedy happened, and she felt like she lost a partner in
mhm,
the government. And it was very difficult for her. So if they can do it, then I think we all have to be able to do it, you know?
Okay. For those who don't know District 34B, what will you tell them about District 34B? How will you describe the district?
Well, I think that the North Metro, the northern suburbs are the best place to live. I do think we have such a great area here. We have wonderful parks. We have the Mississippi River. It's a great place to live. We have so many resources here. We have varying, people from different backgrounds, different opinions, and it's just made it a great place to live. And so I am very proud of our district, and I am a big supporter.
If you're elected to this seat, how will you engage your community? How will you engage the district? How will you engage resident in the district? What would be how will engagement be like for you?
Well, I think you have to work hard at it. You have to, kind of bother people, say, hey, come and talk to me. But no, you do have to make yourself available, and maybe more than available, you have to seek it out. You have to again work on that trust, and that's how you do it, is to just spend time with people and reach out to people. I think that's the way to do it.
Okay. Well, let's take a little break from politics, maybe learn more about you. Right? Outside of your work, outside of this campaign, what does Ruth do for fun?
Well, I have to say that I love the North Shore of Lake Superior as well. So we try to spend as much time there as possible. That's kind of my go-to. It's kind of my happy place. So yeah, Lake Superior is a great place. So beautiful up there. And so, yeah, we like to spend time up there and travel. I like to travel. So.
Okay. So what are your hobbies and passion? Is it travel? Is it what is it?
Yeah, for now I've been working a lot, so there hasn't been as much. So I bet I would say just travel has been more my hobby as of late. My yard has had to suffer because of the campaign, so I'll get back to that eventually. But right now it's not the way I'd like it to look. Let's just say that.
What's your go-to activity in in the north suburb, right? As he says, it's a nice suburb. Another suburb is nice. What is your go-to activity?
Oh,
What do you
biking.
do? Yeah, on weekends. Okay, biking. Okay.
Biking across the Coon Rapids Dam. That whole trail system. That's our go-to. So yeah, love that.
Okay. So like, if you had an entire day off, nothing to do, no campaigning, no working, what will you do with that time?
That is a good question. I think that's hard for a lot of people to answer, because it's like, wow, that's amazing. But yeah, I mean, if I was really going to do nothing, it would be sitting on the shore of Lake Superior, because that's just very relaxing to me to just hear the waves and just sit by the rocks. But if I were to do it here, I don't know, I'd probably clean my house.
Okay. What is the one thing people like voters or folks who don't know you or folks who have been knowing you for a while, but what is the one thing that would be surprised to know about you or to learn about you?
That's a good question. Surprised? I don't know. I do love to cook. I have just not been able to do that as much lately, but surprised to know about me. I'm not really sure, I guess. I just I'd like to be able to get back to the things that I do love to do. But yeah, just between working and now the campaign as well, it's just been a very busy time. So.
Okay. What is your favorite book or movie?
Oh, that's a good question as well. Let's see. Well, Pride and Prejudice is maybe one of my favorites. The miniseries, that one that's a good one. It's just such a great story. Also, I'm just a fan of Charles Dickens and like the Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol is a great story, I think. So.
Okay. Well, folks, tonight we are talking to Ruth Bittner. She's the Republican candidate for District 34B. If you have a question, obviously this is a 1 hour show. We'll soon be wrapping up here, but I've been having some great conversation tonight, so you can still put a comment in the chat or call our number 952-594-5154. Um, let's move back to the political issue. Obviously, this race is happening in the shadow of, Speaker Emeritus Melissa Hotman. It was a very tragic, incident. Um, what does it mean to you personally to be running for this seat?
Well, um, personally, I just know that it is very difficult to
Mm,
replace someone in this situation. So I don't see it as replacing her. Um,
mm,
it's now a seat that is open. And so I think a lot of people in the community will be, you know, it will be hard to see someone else in the seat, and because of the nature of the way that she died, and that that it was taken from this community.
mhm.
So I think that will be very hard, and like I said, I do not see replacing her. But so I understanding that it's just it does come with a little bit of, well, just a little bit more poignancy as far as what the significance of it is, and so I think that whoever wins will just be, honoring her in that, and remembering that also.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I mean that's a good one. But I mean again, right, back to the issue of diversity for the district, right? The district is very diverse, people from different backgrounds. I hear some statistics, like 1 in 6, resident of the district is foreign born.
Yeah.
What will you do to bring, folks from different background to the table, right? To make sure their voices are heard. What will
Yeah.
Ruth do to make sure those different voices, those diversity of the district is represented at the table?
Hmm. Well, I think it probably involves eating a lot of different kinds of food, probably.
Okay.
But I, I think it's very important that um, that the countries from where the people have come from are honored, and their traditions are celebrated and everything. But
Mm,
somehow we have to become Americans as well, and
mm-hmm,
how to find that balance is very important.
mm-hmm.
Most of us come from an immigrant tradition in our families at some point,
Yeah.
and so eventually, you just become, it's part of the fabric of society. You just find yourself in the society as a member of it. And sometimes it takes a little while, to get into that. I am also I think it's very important that we see ourselves as Americans, in that there might be some traditions that prevent you from getting to know each other from other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some lingering um, thoughts about other groups. So anyway, I just would like those. We all have to just put those away, and so that we can all
Mm-hmm.
come together. Um, and I think that seeing ourselves as Americans is going to be part of it. Reaching out to them, and I just think that's very important. I've thought about, like, when you become a naturalized citizen, you have to do some studying, right, to take the test.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that maybe we need to have other resources there about other things to study, like small business, for example, or, some of the other ways to be successful. So maybe we need to incorporate that into our curriculum, so to speak. And you would have more knowledge of that probably than I would, but I think that maybe that's something that we need to work on as well.
Yeah. The other issue, when it comes to the diversity of the district, as I said, 1 in 6 is foreign born. But
Mhm.
right now, there's this huge backlash against immigrants. There's an immigration crackdown going on. You know, um, it's like, considering that your district has a have is has a huge immigrant population. What will you tell those residents? What will you tell them like the current environment? How will you assure them that they are safe in District 34B as a representative if you are elected to this position?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, I mean, if I understand correctly, the real crackdown has been on people that are not here legally, and so I don't believe that really is the case in our district. Would you agree with that?
Well, I mean, I'm just asking, right? It's like I don't live in the district personally, but I have a lot of friends and family that do live in the district. I
Yeah.
said it's a immigrant heavy district, so I'm just
Mm-hmm.
throwing out there.
Yeah.
As I said, it's an environment where a lot of immigrants be fearful,
Yeah.
right? It's like because like immigration crackdown and things like
Yeah.
that. So what if
Yeah.
folks have legal status? They are still kind of being afraid because no one knows what's going to happen and things like that, right?
I
If
see.
you know what I mean. So how will you assure those residents that hey, they're not coming after you, they're only coming after criminals or folks who are,
Yeah.
who have
Right.
been there illegally and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, that is a very good question. I guess I hadn't really thought about that. I guess I would agree that if there's no reason for anybody to come after you, then that you should be assured. And maybe that's something that we would need to talk about. I guess is to find out, are people concerned? But if people are here legally and they have not committed any crimes, I certainly don't think that there should be any reason for that. So that may be something that we need to reach out to community leaders and in the immigrant population and actually find out. And maybe that's another question that I should ask when I go to the market.
Definitely. On day one, if you are elected to this position on day one, when the session starts, what will you do? What will you work on day one?
Well, I guess I kind of sound like a broken record, but I guess fraud would be, because I feel like that's the easiest thing. We just need to make some decisions to have oversight, put oversight in place quickly. So that will help a lot. Some of the other issues that I'm very concerned about are education. And I feel like that's going to take a lot of work, to get to that. So that's not an easy fix. Same with public safety, that's going to take some work as well. So those I think are going to be a little more long-term solutions. But hopefully we could do some things in the short term as well that would be beneficial. Funding, trying to get funding for some of this technology. Hopefully that would be an easy thing, and that would be a great thing that we could do quickly.
So as you campaign throughout the district, right, some of the concern folks are raising to you or voters are raising to you, is this fraud thing? Or what is the major concern of voters in the district currently? What are some of the major concerns?
Yeah, the people that I've been talking to, fiscal issues are huge, so ending the fraud, stopping wasteful spending, that's huge. And then crime is another one that people are concerned about.
Okay. The few minutes we have left here, what keeps you awake at night?
Well, that's a good question. I haven't been sleeping that much. But I guess, what concerns me is really the future of our state and our country. And it bothers me that we're not getting along. I really do see that as a problem. And I would like to be a little part of the solution if I can at all.
Okay. What will you hope your legacy to be if you're elected to this position and serve in this position? What will you hope your legacy to be? How should folks remember you?
Legacy. Wow. I hadn't thought about that before. I guess, just to be a caring person who makes change so that people can succeed. I really want to remove barriers and encourage people so that they can do what they want, and if they want to, start a business, work hard, get an education, whatever they want to do. I just want to facilitate for them so that they come to this country, they can succeed. And I want that for everybody, in this district, just to remove barriers and encourage success.
Okay. Lastly, then, what's the message you want to leave with the audience tonight? Folks have been listening to you in District 34, be the voters. What is your message to them as they go to the voting booth on September 16th? What's the message you want them to hear from you directly?
Well, I want to be known as a person who wants to work together with people. I
Mm,
want to get to understanding of the issues so that if we have a difference of opinion or difference of position, that we can work together to find whatever common goals we can. I am a negotiator and I'm a problem solver, and I intend to use those skills in this position. So that would be negotiating with other legislators, working with people there, but also working with people in the district, so that I would want people to know that they can trust me
mm,
and that I will listen and I do care. Those are things that I would want people to know as they go to the voting booth. I believe that I have developed the skills over my career, over my adult life, and I think they will help me in this position. And then lastly, I will just give my my website here. It's
yeah.
ruthbittnermn.com.
Okay.
And so I would appreciate your vote for me today or tomorrow or anytime before September 16th.
Okay. Real quick then, is it like has the voting process started, or is just has the voting process started, or is it only like September 16th?
No, it started on Tuesday. So
Okay.
have been going to their city hall. They can go to
Okay.
city hall in Champlain or Coon Rapids or Brooklyn Park to vote anytime. Well, you can go to the website, but basically during business hours
Mhm.
between now and September 16th, and then your normal polling place on September 16th.
Okay, okay. Well, Ruth, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a great conversation. Thank you so much for telling you about your priorities, your vision, and your plan for District 34B and learning personally about you a little bit. So thank you so much for the opportunity. We hope you can make this your home, the Inner Circle podcast, and
Yeah.
we wish you good luck, that you are successful. And if you are, we hope you can, be your voice of reason in the district. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the invitation. And it's been my pleasure to get to talk with you tonight and get to know you a little bit as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, folks, that's it. That's the end of our show tonight. See you guys next week. Thank you so much, and you all have a good night.